concept from Eric Kripke, the writers. We get calls. We talk about things that they write and put together and how we can figure out what their characters would do. And then we make a lot of attempts and a lot of band-aids and figuring things out as we go. It's been a fun show, being on it from the beginning, getting to kind of create what happens with the action. It's not like a pirate show or like another show that you can pull a piece or say we're going to do it like this 15, 16 years in the future. So everything that works now in our day, MMA, Jiu-Jitsu, all the stuff that's big, is there, but it's with swords and crossbows and other fun stuff. It's interesting that the shorter weapons are the harder weapons. You get staffs or get big long swords, it's kind of easy to keep people safer. There are certain elements that you can pull off on the fly and do, but a lot of our show is different in the way of, they're usually large choreographed scenes. They're sequences. They're sword fights and things like that. They're not things that necessarily you want to pull off. Like this year especially, we've done probably 15 full body fire movies, things like that. Things that take a lot of preparation. Next week I think we're going to flip a wagon over with a horse-drawn wagon, onto its side with the actual horses attached. So to see, so we're always cutting back to different sides of the action. It's fun. It's like juggling. It's like a tennis game of figuring out, who's doing what in what sequence and where it all goes in. They do. They actually compete for bruises. They're, as you might have heard from Tracy, their badges of honor is, she'll go up to JD or Billy and go, I got this one. And Billy will be like, well, yeah, well, I got, and it's one of those things where they've, sadly, to my grief, they've gotten so good that they actually can't pull it off. It looks great, and, and I get to direct the show, so when I do the action, obviously you always want to use the character and use their face in the scene, and the fact is they've gotten good enough to do it. They've come a long way. I mean, it's been 38 episodes now to this point, so that they can actually do it themselves. And I do have doubles, of course, for anything that gets really hard or crazy. However, usually the doubles will end up setting up the shot, and then Billy or David or Tracy will jump in. Most recently, David Lyons. I joke with him, I call him my rock star. He literally, we just did a fight that was on a few weeks ago before the Olympics that was him fighting a 6'10" guy. And he just has he's just able to remember choreography like a stunt guy, which is, it's hard, 25, 30 moves in a row. And he just remembers it, doesn't, it's pretty amazing. And looks good doing it. I mean, he actually pulls off that he's getting hit as well as just swinging. A lot of actors can swing or throw a punch, but then getting hit, it's very stiff and hard. And he's great. Really, it's about character and Eric Kripke and the writers. It's about talking to them beforehand and what he wants to see. And Eric is always one for no pressure. He'll actually write in the script, the best damn action sequence we've ever seen. Thanks, no pressure. And from that point, then it's figuring out the characters. Okay, this is the way that David's character would feel, and Matt's character would feel fighting, father-son and all this stuff. And then you add in the hand-to-hand, and they go, swords, and they go to two swords. And the props will come to me. We'll talk to them. I'll say this would be good for them, or we'll look up online and try to get things, and go from there, put it all together. And then I'll take, like I say, the doubles. I'll do a day. I'll actually shoot that pre-visit, edit it, put it together, have an idea about what we're going to shoot, and then show it to the actors and have them learn it.
Is there any kind of stunts that you're absolutely terrified to actually have the actors in? We're like, no, we shouldn't even have them there.
What's interesting is this show being with no vehicles. Usually the car things are a little scary, sketchy, and we usually have doubles, and that's all fine. The problem with this show is it's horses. Horses have minds of their own, albeit smaller than ours, and that's you got a hundreds of pound animal that they're dealing with and working with, and that's a harder thing because it's not the control of a car or something else that you can control. It's an animal. So dealing with that is probably the harder aspect. You can control and prepare for fire. You can set choreography. You can have them learn over and over again for different stuff, but you can't do much about the horse thing. Tracy's so bad wants to fight with swords. And it's like, the crossbow thing and the guns and the stuff, and she's always like, Wolfe, when am I going to do the swords? I'm like, when we write it. I think that Billy has been starting to get into that. Actually throughout the season. Last season he was amazing. He was killing everybody. He's got two swords. He kills 20 people on a staircase. He does all this stuff. There's some interesting things coming up and we kind of did that a little bit with his hand this season where he wasn't able to use his hands, so he was, taken back a little bit. I think there are things and challenges where David has to deal with. It's his son, so he's, he doesn't want to fight as hard as he can, that kind of thing. And I think that's kind of what makes the show what it is. It is the fight scenes. It's an action show, but it's so character driven that's thought about, so that you actually, you care about the character and then why he's fighting. It's not just like, oh, I'm just going to fast forward and see the fight scene. But you know what I mean? Like, it's actually like, oh, he's doing this for this reason.